Ready, Susan? Frank? Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. At this time, I'll reconvene the La Quinta City Council meeting for Tuesday, October 15, 2013. At this time, I'd ask that you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please place your hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda is public comments. Anybody wishing to speak on an item which is on the agenda, I'd ask that you please fill out a request to speak form. It's a form like this. It's in the back of the room, and give it to our city clerk. At this time, anybody wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so by coming up to the podium. I do have a couple of requests to speak, and let's see. I don't think either one of them is anything for the agenda, so if you would be so kind, when I call your name, please come up to the dais and give us your name and address for the record, and if you could keep it to within 3 minutes, we'd really appreciate it. First person is Lori Weathers.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilpersons. My name is Lori Weathers. I'm the director of the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Our address is 78900 Avenue 47, Suite 200 in La Quinta, California. I am here also representing the Riverside County Office on Aging. We have a table out front. They are also our sponsor agency for the RSVP volunteer program. The La Quinta City of La Quinta Council has graciously been a very staunch supporter of the RSVP program. And today I just kind of want to give you an overview of what you are supporting. And thank you, of course, for what you do for us. We appreciate it. I have brought one VIP, one of our RSVP Advisory Council members. His name is Leo Sullivan. He is also with the California Senior Legislature and one of our RSVP docents at the Living Desert. Nationwide, we have about 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 a day. Not a year, a day. In the 2010 census, I pulled up some population information for the city of La Quinta. Your population was 37,467 people. Of those, 50 to 64, there were 8,467 of them. 65 and up, there was 7,816. Now, this only goes to show that it is going to grow immensely. Keeping our older adults active, engaged in the community, is something that we're really striving for. That is one of our goals in RSVP, and we want to continue to do so. Right now, the city residents for the city of La Quinta, there's 84 RSVP specific volunteers for the city of La Quinta. The total volunteers within your city is 80. So 4 of your residents also volunteer outside. Just to give you a brief overview for the Coachella Valley itself, we have over 100 volunteer sites with over 1,000 volunteers that are currently volunteering in the valley. So although they may not be serving inside the city limits, your residents are also going possibly to the Stroke Recovery Center, to the hospitals. We have those. We also have tutors, Boys and Girls Club. I gave the city clerk a small piece of paper that gives you some of these stats, shows you what's happened. These are just stats for January 1st of this year through August 31st, as we run an hour behind, a month behind. But so far, in that amount of time, we had 2,250 hours served within the city of La Quinta. Our value added or in-kind contributions are calculated at $55,688 for the city or the nonprofits within the city. RSVP does several different things. They do recruiting nationwide because we are a nationwide program. We've been around for 42 years. We also have a vetting and placement, so we match the volunteers up with the sites and make sure that it's a good fit, and we provide a secondary insurance. We have a few opportunities. The elementary schools, we have tutoring in, Boys and Girls Club, the La Quinta Senior Center, and Fit After 50. Again, we're sponsored by Office on Aging. We have an office here in La Quinta. We're here for you to help you in any way that we can, and thank you very much for your time, and once again, thank you very much for your support.
Yeah. Thank you, Lori, and I fall within that category.
Me too. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a quick question?
Sure.
On the list, Lori, under watercolors, what are the 3 residents doing to accumulate 462 hours?
Fit After 50. It is an exercise program that is Office on Aging's program, and it is run strictly by volunteers.
Okay. That's a tremendous amount of hours.
Yes, there are a lot of people that attend those as well. The residents really like it.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you. Frank, do you want this under the study session? Or do you want to talk about it now? Yeah, you want to talk about it now or under the study session?
No, now's fine.
Okay, fine, come on up. Sometimes we could delay you a long time. So sometimes it's easier to do it right up in front.
Mayor and members of the council, it's a pleasure to be in front of you again. I'm requesting a study session in front of the council for a future date. I'm currently involved with Community Safety Consulting Group, which it's a group of individuals that are Valley residents, and we're currently looking at the viability of an unmanned aerial system within the Coachella Valley. This system, local agencies have become interested in unmanned aerial system technology to supplement their operations and potentially reduce some of their costs by taking a new approach to educate the public and stakeholders first. It's anticipated these systems will not replace any current aerial services, but may be able to accomplish 30% of the current aerial operations goals at about 2% of the costs. That would still leave about 70% of operations conducted by conventional means, both ground and aerial personnel, but may show significant savings in the future while helping to save some lives. Several local public agencies, public safety agencies have given their support of our conceptual program. We've given several presentations, including one in front of the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Public Safety Committee, where Council Member Henderson was present, showing how the concept focuses on 4 specific areas: search and rescue, disaster preparedness, public safety emergencies, and also to help educate governmental officials and the public and other stakeholders regarding the 2015 federal integration of unmanned aerial systems into the national airspace. If you didn't know, the federal law, which was passed in 2012, has placed the FAA en route to produce a plan to integrate unmanned aerial systems into the national airspace, which will include the introduction of systems commercially into the local airspace. State and local officials have already begun looking at laws and ordinances to restrict this, and we feel an educational process ahead of time will be very beneficial to those making these decisions in the future. Our presentation will be provided as an informational item only, and no funding is being requested at this time. Our vision is to help governmental officials increase their understandings of unmanned aerial systems so they can weigh in not only on this concept but also on the future commercial integration of UAS within the Coachella Valley. Through these presentations, we plan to display transparency in the infancy and gather support for a future program. Therefore, we're respectfully requesting the opportunity to offer our presentation at a future study session. We believe our expertise will help governmental officials increase their understanding of unmanned aerial systems so they can weigh in not only on this concept and possible future local ordinances, but also on the future commercial integration of unmanned systems within the Coachella Valley.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the confirmation of the agenda. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions by staff
There are none.
and by council members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull consent item number 14 to business session item number 1, please.
Okay.
so we have one.
We have one business item now. I felt like it was blank.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we'll move on to presentations. We have two this evening, and the first one is a proclamation to Desert Sands Unified School District regarding scores. Donna. Hey. I've just had to get these, and I'm not used to them. But as you get older, the old eyesight kind of goes. And anyways, come on, come on. And that. Okay. All right. The Public Schools Accountability Act is a state law passed in 1999 that created a new academic accountability system in our schools. As a result of the state law, the Academy Performance Index, or API, was established. The API reflects a school's performance level based on the results of statewide assessment with the purpose of measuring the academic performance and improvement of schools. The state of California set a score of 800 as the API target for all schools to meet. It is my pleasure to present this proclamation commending La Quinta High School, the staff and students for achieving the API score of 841, which is the highest score achieved by any high school in the Coachella Valley. Good. Accept our congratulations and a wonderful program. We're so proud of our La Quinta High School. It's just a wonderful opportunity for us to be involved. Donna, thank you very much. I should have introduced you. And can you tell us just how the program's going?
Sure. I do want to thank everybody and for you taking the time and effort to recognize us. It's a lot of hard work. 3,000 students, about 200 employees.
Well, we were there at graduation, so we know.
And we hit that 800 mark that the state has set for a high achieving school 5 years ago. And then for the past 4 years, we've had the highest API of any high school in the valley. We're very proud of it. I would like to thank one of our board members, Mr. Tomac. He's one of our largest supporters.
My neighbor.
Yes, and he's here, and my assistant principal, Ms. Cook, who is a big part of that. But the students and the staff have earned this, and we're very proud to be a part of the city. And I'm so glad you took the time to recognize.
Well, I mean, it was obvious. We're so proud of what we have here in the city of La Quinta, the students and the administrators and teachers. It's just great. And the football team did a great job last night. That's Friday night.
I knew you would mention that.
Yes. I've been there. Donna, thank you again, and best of luck in anything that we can do to promote the city of La Quinta and our high school, La Quinta High School Blackhawks. Go Hawks.
Thank you.
Okay. Our second proclamation is the proclamation to be presented to the Military Order of the Purple Heart. This gentleman, I'm sorry, your name is?
Len Tavernetti.
Len, nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. And oh, yes, your name is on here. Okay. The city of La Quinta has a great admirerish and the utmost gratitude for the men and women who have selflessly served our country and the community in the armed forces. Today, we take the opportunity to remember and recognize veterans who are recipients of the Purple Heart Medal, right? And on behalf of the City Council, it is my pleasure to proclaim the City of La Quinta as a Purple Heart City, and in doing so, hereby honor the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform who are wounded or killed in combat while serving our nation. Lynn, thank you very much. On behalf of the City of La Quinta, our gratitude for everything that you and other members of the Purple Heart have contributed to our nation.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to-
Most of the Purple Heart recipients are silent heroes. They come back from battle, they take their medal, they put it in a shoebox, put it in the closet, and never talk about it. Quite often, their families don't even know that they've received them. You may have seen recently on television a large group of men in wheelchairs pushing against some iron barricades. Many of these World War II veterans are passing away at the rate of over 650 a day, and their families don't even know what they did in the war. So what I would like to ask of everyone, if you have a relative or a friend who's in their 80s or 90s, they did something in the war. They might not have worn a uniform, but they did something. They worked in a factory, they worked on a farm, they supported the effort. And if you want to find out their story and pass it on to future generations, you need to talk to them now. Ask them about it. If they happen to have a medal in their closet, ask them to bring it out and show you and talk about it, because next year you might not be able to. And so it's a great opportunity now to record your family and your friends' history and pass it on, and please do that.
Good. Len, thank you very much. And okay, we'll move on to written communications. We have none this evening. So next, I'll ask for approval of minutes of October 1.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second, please vote. Motion passes. I'll move on to the consent calendar.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, before we vote, I'd like to comment on one consent calendar item.
Sure.
Item number 7, in regards to the block grant, the CDBG grant, and the effect on the Boys and Girls Club of La Quinta. That affected a reduction in our contribution there by $10,000. Understanding we also reduced that by $10,000 last year. So the net between these two is a $20,000 reduction to the La Quinta Boys and Girls Club. And I hope that at mid-year review later on, we can bring back our contract with the La Quinta Boys and Girls Club and take a look at that and see what we can do in respect to, you know, the community and the kids that go there from this community and the low-income families that use the Boys and Girls Club for their kids, to help ease a $20,000 reduction that this in effect does to the Boys and Girls Club of La Quinta.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And another comment on item number 5, which is the Dune Palms Road Bridge improvement. Number 1, thrilled that there's funds out there that we're going to proceed
Right.
with the Dune
Right.
Palms Bridge. That would mean every wash crossing street in our city has safety and access and
And that'll finish up
that'll finish it,
everything,
exactly.
and we need to move forward on that.
Right.
Because,
I just want to make sure as part of the process,
Yeah.
as proactive as our staff was in the prior bridge plans,
Yeah.
that the CV Link Bikeway Trailway will be a consideration and be excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And just
Agreed.
for clarification of the record, the update, the amendment relates to consent item 12, the Silver Rock Golf Cart lease, and the updated lease documents provided by Wells Fargo.
As
Yeah.
well as pulling item number 14 for discussion.
Correct.
Okay, next we'll move on to the business
So
session.
there's a motion and
well,
second.
excuse me, yeah, we haven't done that. Please vote. Okay, motion passes. All right, now we'll move on to the business session. This is carryover from the consent calendar. It's to authorize the city manager to transfer up to $41,431,179 from the undersigned signature general fund reserves to the successor agency of the La Quinta Redevelopment Agency. Linda? you
Sure,
brought it
I
up.
just couldn't let a consent item of writing a check to the state of California fly in the amount of the 41 point, $4 million. So again, this is our opportunity not only to plead our case based on the governor's decision to make legislation as he goes, and to have every body of legislation leading up to the governor go along with him in our fight to retain the monies that we legitimately utilize through written contractual loans from the general fund to the formerly known as redevelopment agency, that we are now getting to that point where we have received a letter of demand to say we want that 41 million, yet we haven't received our final decision on our appeal and hearing at the board. So while I know that the course is running the end of its tracks, and we may eventually need to write that check, it's not without discontent, to say the least, that we have done everything imaginable legally without stopping the progression of our city, which has been so much of a forefront of what this council and prior councils have done to make this who we are and make this city economically viable, a place to live, work, and shop. And while this is not going to hinder us from doing that, we're running out of options in terms of being able to proceed with some of the plans that we have on our goals and objectives, and interest that people have expressed to do things in business in La Quinta, that I just felt like it just aggravates me. It just aggravates me.
Aggravates all of us.
Not that I don't support at the point in time, at the 11th hour, when there's no other final choice to authorize the city manager to do this. It just, I felt like we needed to explain to the community that it's still not fair, and the fortunate thing is we have the 41 million to hand over, and we will still be able to be successful despite that, but it'll be a harder hill to climb.
Lee?
Yes, sir. I would agree everything that's been said. And, you know, as I told the council members, I was there in the courtroom with Kathy and other attorneys, listening to the judge. And, you know, the aspect of contractual obligations, basically the judge is saying, since 30 years ago, you didn't have language in the loans that you could call for repayment on these if the RDA were to be dissolved, then you can't ask for early payment now. But who would have known 30 years ago that we would dissolve your redevelopment agencies? So they're making the rules as they go along here, and to heck with the Constitution and the city's rights. But it is obviously ludicrous that the state can come in, take 41 million from this community, and then, as I said, make the rules up as they go along. But it's, yeah.
And unfortunately, we're not the only ones involved.
No, as a matter of fact, Mr. Mayor, there's 380 redevelopment agencies in the state of California that are involved, and there's still something like 150 very active lawsuits with the state. And again, you know, every once in a while, legislators have a way of securing job security for attorneys going into the future, you know, just create another little problem and they can work forever. Fortunately, our attorney has done an excellent job for us and has taken us through the system to a point where it's incredible that the folks that have heard the story and the legal part of it can sit there and not crack a smile and disagree. And you know that there is collusion going on.
Right.
It is rampant up there. It is terrible what's going on in the state of California. And I tell you all now, be very, very careful of every move we make, because they're still looking for more money.
Got you. Christine?
Okay, I'll add a little bit more fuel to the fire. At one point in time in our state, there was democracy. We don't have that now. We have a demagogue who is powerful and just doing whatever he chooses to do. Now, the dissolution of the RDA could have been done in a much more appropriate manner, giving us time to do what needed to be done. Not only was that not done, but there was a clawback provision which says, oh, we can go back however far we want to, I guess. And if we thought that you were trying to play a little hanky-panky with us, then we're going to hit you for it. So we got hit for $41.3 million, or $41.4 million for being fiscally responsible.
Exactly, that's what's...
And it's punitive. I can't begin to explain to you what the state is doing to cities. It's just awful. This should be in our bank account. We didn't do anything even closely resembling being illegal. And we have exhausted, well, we haven't exhausted our appeal process, but we did appeal and we didn't get anywhere. Now, we do have an option. We could not pay the $41 million.
Which we have contemplated.
And we have contemplated that and just thumb our nose at them and say, come and get us. However, it appears now that they have the authority. We don't know whether it's legal or not, but they certainly have said they're going to do it. We don't pay the 41, then we don't get our property taxes and we don't get our sales tax.
Now, that's city money, not
That's
RDA
right.
money.
That's city money, yes.
That's commingling.
That's commingling of funds.
And the Constitution says you can't do that.
Right. But
But the state of California
so you're
says
saying we can.
we can.
They can. So I guess what we really want to put on the record tonight, or what I want to and what everyone else has, is our incredible fury at having to write this check and our frustration. Almost everyone has a budget, or they should, well, except for Jerry Brown, but and certain things that we want to do, and it's our job to plan and help the community move forward. And we can hardly take a step for knowing what's going, when the other shoe's going to drop. So I'm venting. I appreciate your listening, and I hate like heck to write this check.
Well, we have an obligation of 40,000 residents that we pride ourselves on making good decisions, which is evident based on the money that's there. And we will continue to strive to ensure that the city thrives, and we will find ways of generating revenue, and hopefully they won't come up with their own new ways of taking more to offset their poor management of the state budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess just a comment is the judges making the decisions, and we put together a great argument showing the legality of this, but they didn't pay attention. So they are supporting the governor of the state of California rather than the citizens of the areas that they live in, and what is best for the state and our citizens, rather than what the governor wants to find and build up and get rid of the deficit that they put us into in the beginning. And that, I guess the one conclusion that I came to is that in the past, when ballot measures came out and we were voting, and I'd see judges on there, and I wouldn't vote for them because I don't know one judge from another, and I don't know whether he's doing a good job. And heck, I could be voting for Jack the Ripper, and I wouldn't know it. But I tell you what I'm going to do from now on. If he's an incumbent, I ain't going to vote for him. So I've seen the way that they've responded in Sacramento to the city of La Quinta, as well as other cities in that. And I guess that's the wrong thing to do, but we're just ticked off about what they have done to our city and to other cities in the state of California, because we're all in the same boat to really hurt the city's economy, not only the economy, but the infrastructure and development and things that are necessary to our community and that. And when they take away from us and that, they hurt other entities that we're trying to do and help within our community, not only in grants and issues, but from other cities, because the Coachella Valley, our 9 cities are all in the boat together, and we need to support one another in the development and the growth in the Coachella Valley. So I guess we're all kind of annoyed about what transpired, but we'll get over it and we'll move forward. We have a very progressive city, although we're conservative nature
Yes.
here in La Quinta and that. So, but we'll survive and we'll move forward. We've got a lot of activities that are coming before us in the very near future and that. So you'll see us growing in that. So thank you for listening to our tirade and that. But we're a little upset about the latest issue when we get a demand letter for $41 million and that. So it's nothing that we had anticipated. So, anyways, unless there's anything else.
Well, with that, Mr. Mayor, I will regrettably authorize the city manager to transfer up to $41,431,179 of the city's dollars from undesignated general fund reserves to the successor agency of the La Quinta Redevelopment Agency at the nth hour possible, please.
I was going to say, I don't think there's anybody here that's going to second that.
Yeah, it's been moved and second. Please vote.
This is the go-forward vote for the city of La Quinta,
Motion
not
passes.
the action at hand.
We'll move on to our study session, and the first one is Classification and Compensation System Guiding Framework. Terry.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. I think the last time I was before you was when you approved the contract with Fox Lawson. Is that better?
That's much better.
To conduct the classification and compensation study for the city with the goal of updating our existing systems to meet the changing needs of the city. And we are now ready to lay out some preliminary thoughts and ideas around how we'd like to proceed with this. So the framework that is before you is really just a philosophy, a philosophical document, if you will, that has three main goals. The first is to redefine job classifications, and that entails grouping together jobs that have similar duties and then further distinguishing those by levels of responsibility. The second goal is to restructure the compensation system, and we are planning to look at both private and public sector market data to see if the city is competitive in the marketplace, and then compare that data that we receive to our existing structure to place positions so that they line up internally. The third component is aligning both the classifications and the compensation with a performance evaluation tool that will ensure we measure and reward for the values and the behaviors that the city is seeking out of its employees. So what will the framework accomplish? I've kind of laid out for you what our present classification system looks like and what the future may look like. Currently, we have 68 positions with 47 titles. It's obviously seemingly too many. We hope to, in the future, narrow that down to fewer titles that all seem to have the same similar type of duties in each classification. The current job descriptions are very narrowly defined. It does restrict management's flexibility in what it can ask an employee to do or what type of growth opportunities it can offer within a particular classification. And by going to a broadband description for jobs will better accommodate our needs. And the job descriptions we currently have, many of them are very outdated, especially after the restructuring in January when we lost 22 employees. A lot of employees have picked up additional duties and different duties that really should be reflected in the new job descriptions. Lots of changes. We're doing more with less, and that should be reflected as we move forward with the new classifications. As for the compensation system, our current system is a step and grade system where it does not allow the city to reward high performers. Instead, it rewards longevity. And just from public opinion that I've heard personally, that is not something that most citizens are in favor of just rewarding longevity. The private sector has long rewarded performance, and we want to go more towards what they've been doing as well. This compensation system we're looking at is more of a pay-for-performance system that would allow management that latitude to encourage high performers and reward them for that performance. The current system, there are no incentives to foster exceptional performance. Once you reach the top step in your pay range, that's as far as you can go. We, in the past, have looked at cost of living increases that have been negotiated through the association, the Employees Association, and those don't seem tied to anything other than a demand by the association and the council's willingness to look at those type of increases that are not attached to performance at all. So we're hoping that this will not only attract in our hiring process, but also retain the people that are the high performers. This type of compensation system is designed to reward high performance, and that's what we are hoping to move toward. So the timeline for accomplishing this philosophy and setting in place some of the pieces that are going to get us there. The framework is before you today just for consideration and for input, feedback. The occupational panel discussions will be conducted in mid-November, and that will draw in many of our employees to participate on those panels and give feedback as to this distinction between levels of responsibility within each class. After that, we will be conducting the salary survey. Fox Lawson will be doing that on our behalf. They will be sending out data collection forms to whichever agencies we select for feedback, and then they will assimilate that data and return it in a format that we can make some decisions on. The next step is to distribute a total compensation statement, which we will probably wait until the first of the year to do that, so we have the full 2013 data to include in that. Last time we did this was in 2010, and we gave every employee a statement that included not just the value of their salary, but also their medical, dental, vision benefits, their retirement benefits, workers' compensation benefits, disability and Medicare benefits, and it was quite shocking to a lot of employees to see that their $45,000 salary perhaps really was worth quite a bit more than that, a good 30% more, if not 40% more than that. So we think it's a valuable tool to help employees understand it's not just about the salary. The performance evaluation model is going to be refined, revised, and it's going to be designed to reflect a combination of things. Core competencies that every employee will be expected to master, accomplishment of major initiatives for either departments or city council and city goals, and then fulfillment of your specific job functions and duties also. So it'll be a mix of items that we want to include in that, and we're going to design it so that it's tied to the classifications, the descriptions, and the compensation. All of those will be integral to each other. Final activity will be to bring the framework back to council for finalization and approval and adoption into the personnel policies. That should occur at the end of the entire study for both the classification and the compensation systems. Throughout all of this, the Employees Association will be involved. We'll be seeking input from all quarters, and we hope to be able to bring something back to you that can be adopted for future use.
Good.
I'm available to answer questions if you have any.
Fine. Thank you, Terry. Questions of staff?
Okay, I'm looking at the, number one, the key in terms of linking performance to pay is critical, and I imagine the desire to move that towards the way the private sector is doing is clearly to capture those individuals that are incentivized by their individual performance, almost the sales-minded folks that like to achieve specific results versus serving time. Is that?
That's correct. There will be a span, if you will, in the compensation system, probably, where someone could be coming in at the minimum of the range, and then there will be a progression through until you reach the midpoint of the range, which is really the market value for each job, and that will be determined by the salary survey. But beyond that will be an allocation that will be available for rewarding exceptional performance. The midpoint is a successful performer. The employee is doing exactly what we expect them to do and exactly what the market would pay them to do in another organization. In order to receive a performance award, one would need to go above and beyond what is just the normal expectation. And those criteria we hope to set out in the performance evaluation tool so that people know what the target is, they know what to aim for.
So when you look at your broadly defined classes, are we in a position now, as we look across the 68, where one of the factors is making sure that we're defining them to minimize the compression between the levels?
Yes.
So are we in a position now where we've got issues with the compression, or we want to ensure that as we do those defined classes, we can avoid potential compression as performance and/or service lends itself over time?
It's more to avoid it in the future, although currently we have 68 employees, and I think 62 of them are already at the top of their range and have been there for a number of years, so they've not had any type of increase or anywhere to go for a number of years.
Okay. And then under the classification system maintenance, it talks about acquiring knowledge for the new minimum requirements and giving that employee a reasonable time period so they can be qualified for their job. Have you determined, or at what point do you determine what a reasonable time period is?
We have not determined yet what
part
that
of
reasonable will mean.
Okay.
It's something we will be talking about in future days, I'm sure.
So then subsequent to that, in the reclass, it says employees will be notified in writing of the results of the reclass. So I know that you all do a lot of interaction with the employees now, team meetings, walk-arounds, all of that. And we're doing this potentially class and comp study, and they're going to receive a letter saying you've been reclassed, or they'll know what to expect before that is provided to them?
They will know what to expect.
Thank you.
Definitely. The occupational panels will be a big part of that. So the participants on the panels are going to be examining the proposed structure. And in that structure, it shows where every current position will be placed. And that will be shared with all employees after it is revised and put in somewhat of a final form.
Okay.
And then that's before the letters go out. So everyone will have seen that and have an opportunity to get comfortable with it or uncomfortable, and we will then have the letters go out and have feedback still available at that point.
Okay. All right. I think that's critical. Under the new job development process, it indicates that the goal is to submit the department director submits a request to the HR department. Is there still going to be a committee in place that reviews those, or is it just that department director and HR that brings something forward to city manager for consideration?
Let's see. The directors will be also trained in the method that we plan to take forward, which is called the decision band method of job evaluation. So the directors will have knowledge of how that works, and working together with HR, I believe that will be the main coordinators of that effort for creating new jobs and new positions.
Okay. Sorry, I read this thing like from front to back, so I've got a few questions. Under the strategies and pay ranges, it talks about the range spans are going to progress from 25 to 30% to approximately 50 to 70%. That seems really big, and so just help me understand what that means.
The way it's been explained to us by Fox Lawson is there's a funnel effect for the job ranges, and the entry-level positions, it does not take nearly as long, nor is there as wide of a span for them to come in at entry level and reach journey level. So an administrative assistant, for example, may come in, and within the first year, they may be at mastering their job as well as we would expect them to ever do. On the flip side, you have a manager or director position at a higher level that it could take years, literally, for them to reach a journey level, depending on where they come into the system. And so it starts small at the bottom with the entry-level positions and moves out as you go up. So the range is going to grow and be wider for those upper-level positions.
Okay.
because of the level of responsibility mainly.
Okay. And in the case where we've got performance awards that it says may or may not be added to the base salary, would those potentially be lump sums, almost like bonus
They
type
would,
incentives?
yes.
Okay. And I assume based on the fact that people don't understand there's a base and there's the benefits and whatever, there's not a current communication or letter that goes out each year with benefits that says this is the value of you and your position?
2010 was the last time we sent one out.
Okay, 'cause that is corporate America. Makes you appreciate what you've got more. In the full range salary review, it says no less frequently than every 2 years. Would that be an exception if there's actually an open position and you would need to reconsider what that open position might be if somebody leaves a role? How that might change in determining what your needs are?
As far as if the salary may have changed,
Right.
certainly. And also for positions that if they are very difficult to recruit for and fill, if we have added some sort of a market premium to entice someone to come to our city, if those become vacant, or even if they don't, annually, we would even look at those and say, is there still a premium for that
Right.
type of position? And
'Cause
if
that
not, we may
changes.
need to go backwards on it with that. So
And-
that's flexibility for us built into this philosophy.
Okay, and I think my last question, it looks like, is this only for full-time employees?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. And so part-times there won't be the cost of living, there won't be service increase, there'll be part-time, no benefits
They
like
have never
most
been
of...
subject to the meet and confer and the MOU terms, but they do have a salary range and an hourly range that they can progress along, and they do get annual evaluations, and they can get raises within their hourly range, depending on their performance.
Okay.
That will stay the same.
All right. No, I think moving this is yet just another step in the realigning and redefining what city government represents in La Quinta and what we need to do to position ourselves for the future. And it's really almost about cross-training. Everybody can do everything, and the ones that do it better make more in the process of doing it. And there's a succession planning, which I think, while we've got great service and we've got a core staff that has helped develop the city in a loyal, fabulous way, I think that in years to come, as those folks, and we've seen that as they retire and people are taking on more, you've got to have the ability to have that succession planning and have it be almost a privilege to pass the baton to that next leader in the group as life progression, retirement changes, I guess. So I think there's been a tremendous amount of work here, and looking at what the metrics and measures will be for that incentive and the awards and how they align with what we need to accomplish up here, that will be an interesting process, and I look forward to seeing more. So good work. Thank you.
Good. Terry?
Yes, thank you, Terry. It's been interesting to read through this document because not only interesting, but very exciting. And what has allowed this to take place, this is a good result of the horrible financial impact mess that we just have all come through. Not the RDA, but the bigger picture nationally and what it's caused cities and government to revisit how they do operations. Because there's so many things in here that we've talked about, or the council has talked about at various times, wishing and hoping to be able to do and not able quite to make it all fit in. For instance, when we did whatever pay scales that we were looking at, it was always, well, which of the 8 cities are we going to pick from? And everybody has to agree. And I think the most important element there is the private sector that we're bringing on board now. And because that's really, in my eyes, that's really where the public looks and sees what the public structure is doing compared to the private industry. So I'm really pleased to see a lot of the things that are in here, the creation of the new jobs, the classification system. I talked a little bit with Frank about this, that it seemed like we are going to be putting a lot of work going forward into this document with these classifications, if you will, the 68 positions and 47 titles, and having cross-references that I just hoped at the end of the day, because objective number 4 was the creation of new jobs. I hope that those are jobs that aren't needed for 5 years. I mean, I hope that none of this is to create new jobs. It's more
It
or
just puts
less,
the mechanism in place.
Yeah.
If the need arises.
right, and which is critical to have. So Frank did help me with that one. And as far as the total compensation value, when we put that out in 2010, that was one of my requests, because I've always thought that that is an integral part and parcel of what an employee should know and understand, the true value of that employee to this entity. I think that makes them feel better and, you know, kind of push their shoulders back and feel a little more professional and a little more well worth what they're earning. So I'm just really, really delighted to see the combination here, bringing the private enterprise kind of thinking into how we look at going forward here. So I'm very excited about this. I'll be watching for you, and good luck. Good luck
Thank
to
you.
all of you, and I hope all the employees appreciate that this is as much, well, it is for them.
It will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree 100% on what's been said. I think this is great for our city, great for our team here. And one note, too, in here regarding the pay ranges, that we will continue to pay above the norm. And that's why, one of the reasons why we've got such a great team right now. And this team has gone through quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we've come out pretty darn well. And I think that's because of Frank's leadership and our directors and everybody. So I look forward to this and see what it looks like in the future.
Good. Christie?
I think that we've asked an awful lot of the employees that we have, and they're wonderful. And this is another change, and I always like it when the employees have the input. So it's not something you're saying, here it is, live with it, whatever. That's totally contrary to the whole concept here. So I'm right in line with the philosophy. It's certainly something that needs to be done. And I think it's a great job, and I look forward to seeing the results.
Thank you. We appreciate the council's support of this. We feel strongly about it, too, and we believe it's going to make everything better for everybody involved. So we're looking forward to it.
Good.
I couldn't say too much more. I think it's really been said in that, and I like what Christie said, that everybody got involved in the thing, and I think it's good. And I think the timing to be able to massage programs like this is important, and that we need to look to and upgrade our programs from time to time. So the timing is great as far as I'm concerned, and I look forward to seeing the final on the program. Good.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, unless there's anything else?
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to the second item, and that's Coachella Valley iHub Acceleration Network Project Overview.
Mayor, I'd like to start this off that we've had conversations with, there we go. We've had conversations with CVIP about their plans to move forward with another iHub, and they requested that we schedule this for a study session before you so they could present formally what they're considering and what they're seeking. So I will turn it over to Mr. Flavin.
Name and address for the record, please.
Pardon?
Name and address for the
Tom
record.
Flavin, 311 Tahquitz Canyon Road, Palm Springs. CEO of CVEP. Wes Algren has joined me. He'll join me when we get to the questions, and he's got more of the answers than I do. But we do appreciate the opportunity. And I couldn't help, as a former mayor and city councilman of a Southern California city 20-plus years ago, listening to the comments of council members, and I agree wholeheartedly. I may even take it a step further, because I've kind of reached the conclusion that the solution to the problems of California is not coming from Sacramento. It's going to come from what we do at the local level, working together. And from my perspective, that's what makes it exciting for me to talk to you about an initiative that we were working on and are working on and would like to expand throughout the valley. Now, before I get into the PowerPoint, it's a quick PowerPoint. I did pass this out. It's a two-sided sheet that has information. The Innovation Hub program was established in the Coachella Valley in 2010. It was a state of California program, but of course there was no money attached to it. Yeah. The locals had to come up with the local dollars themselves. 3 cities on the west side, Palm Springs, Desert Hot Springs, and Cathedral City, got involved, submitted an application, and became the Coachella Valley Innovation Hub, one of the first 6 innovation hubs in the state of California. Since then, we've now expanded to 16. And I'm happy to report that the Coachella Valley Innovation Hub is considered the best of all of them. And I wanted just to take you through quickly why that's the case. If you look on this, one sheet, it says iHub companies circa July 2013. There are 16 companies on this list. And I'm not going to go through the description of them, but I'd like you to, in your spare time, of course, read the brief synopsis of them. These are all technology-based companies where good-paying jobs are, and good-paying jobs really drive the standard of living of any community. And from my perspective, as one who'd been in California during the 70s, 80s, and 90s when there was a strong job base, and then coming back, it doesn't have that job base anymore, and now we're in a global competition for good-paying jobs. So one of the one of the things that has really, as I look at these 16 companies, if we didn't have an Innovation Hub program, we might know of 2 or 3 of them, but we wouldn't know of 16. If you look down the list, we have resident companies. These are companies we actually provide office space for, so they can do their proof of concept, get their financial and business plans together, and we work with them and assist them in doing that. Once they've done that, and they begin to produce products or provide services, begin hiring employees, and have to expand beyond an office, they become an accelerator company, an accelerator campus company. And we have 4 in there right now. But if you look over there at the virtual companies, these are companies that are part of the iHub program, but are not physically located here. And if you look, you'll see, gee, we have companies from Indiana, Seattle, Switzerland, and others. That really has been the surprise for me in this whole program, because for entrepreneurs, California, despite its problems, is still a good place to start and grow a business, because it's got a talented workforce when you compare it with other regions in the country. It's got access to capital, albeit much of it ends up in Northern California, but we're making inroads there. And it's got, in Southern California, a huge market opportunity, 25 million consumers within a 2-hour drive. So this is what attracts them. And with these 16, we also now have 3 that are pending applications. So we'll be up to 19. In fact, one of them is owned by La Quinta residents. They're called Sunup Energy. They're a manufacturer, and the manufacturer installs solar thermal energy systems to create hot water for commercial applications. And we expect them to be a part of the Accelerator campus. And they're moving their business from San Diego to here. So that gives you some insight as to, at the local level, what we can do to become to build that year-round job base that we all want. On the back page was just the Accelerator campus that we have in Palm Springs, 42,000 square feet. So we have an iHub facility and an Accelerator campus, and that's essentially what we're proposing for the rest of the valley, and we think there's some opportunities here. Okay. Oh, wrong way.
Yeah.
There we go. The federal government, EDA, sent out a grant request It's called Investing in Manufacturing Communities Partnerships, and there's 2 phases. Phase 1 is a $200,000 planning grant to be matched locally, and 26 were awarded in the U.S., one of them right here in the Coachella Valley, to expand this iHub accelerator model concept. Phase 2 is up to $25 million each in implementation grants to be awarded to 5 or 6 regions around the country. The objective is to create a globally competitive environments to attract, retain, and expand investment in manufacturing and spur international trade. Now, the CVEP planning grant proposal said we want to utilize the Innovation Hub Accelerator model to other sites throughout the Coachella Valley. That we would work with the cities and the counties who are interested to secure the match and have them offer their potential sites for these facilities. Thirdly, we're partnering with the University of Redlands to access their GIS-based economic analysis capability. As you know, that's the home of Esri, one of the best in the country. And using that analytical tool, assess potential sites for the CVI Hub Accelerator Network valley-wide. Also, one of the things that we were very much interested here is part of this, because of getting this GIS-based system, we can get a data-driven economic development tool that'll support all of our business recruitment, retention, and expansion programs in the Valley. And that's a huge asset, and that will come out of the planning grant for us. Thirdly, our next position, the Coachella Valley, to be a recipient of one of these EDA implementation grants. And then finally, and I almost hesitate to bring this up, but it was just codified, the Innovation Hub program was just codified by Sacramento because, gee, looks like it works, it's popular, maybe it's a solution we can all get on the bandwagon with. But by codifying in this last legislative session, signed by the governor, it actually means we can receive state funding. Now, I'm not holding my breath, but anyway. The schedule is, and we met with some of the interested cities back in July. We met again a week or two ago, or a week ago, I guess it was, to see if we could get some sense of whether we're going to be able to get the local match from whether there's the interest there. And so we wanted to try to do that by mid-February. This is on a very, mid-November. This is on a very fast track, as you'll see. We're in the process of recruiting and hiring a GIS coordinator for the project. Now, one of the things that we've changed from this original schedule we showed a week ago is we've decided to move up this workshop for local partners. I want to get the Redlands University people out here to discuss with interested cities what they can expect from this GIS-based economic development tool. I think it's very important to do that. They will complete their model design in March, and then they begin the assessment of the strategy, develop a master iHub Accelerator map, strategy, metrics, reporting methodology. We can then begin to talk about a local partner implementation structure, and then by next September, submit to the EDA our implementation-ready strategy. By December, they tell us they're going to make the decisions as to the award of those 5 to 6 implementation grants. Now, one of the things that we did, and I wanted to drill down a little bit further here, CVEP has put together some areas of opportunity that we think really fit this part of the valley. Medical health care, renewable energy, clean tech, defense, homeland security, obviously agribusiness, environmental with the Salton Sea, logistics, which was one of the economic clusters in the blueprint, transportation. I'm not going to take your time tonight and drill down and say why, and there are probably others, but one of the things that this study will do will give us that ability to evaluate thoroughly and prioritize where our best opportunities are. Also assess the potential sites offered by local partners. You know we have a good workforce development strategy, so we can begin to build on that and expand that to career technical education. What kind of infrastructure requirements are needed? How do we attract private investment? And we're learning all these things with our other project, the first project on the other side of town. There's a real emphasis on international trade and exports, a long-term financial sustainability program, other partnering opportunities, and a business operation plan for the network, which is basically developed at this point because of what the work we've done on the west side. So from our standpoint, post-RDA, post-enterprise zone, you know, what are the economic growth tools we're going to use? I believe that this job-focused economic growth model targeting 21st century companies is the way to go. I think the track record that we've established in less than 2 years, we became operational in 2011. This is 2 years. Kind of is validating that point. I think that we, as a region, are competitively positioned for that implementation grant because we have this integrated workforce jobs model already in place. I can tell you, I can almost assure you, the other 25 recipients don't. And then successful implementation will really make us the economic development leaders statewide. My aspirations are beyond statewide because we're competing globally. We're not just competing with Texas or Washington or Colorado. We're really competing with the Pacific Rim here on the West Coast. So with that, be happy to answer any questions you have. I want to thank you for your time and your interest. And Wes, if you want to join me, we'll move forward.
Okay, questions of
I do have a few.
Tom, Wes?
Hi, Wes. What are you looking for in an iHub site? What are the requirements for? I mean, I know you have a prison right now where you are, but we don't have one on this side that we could use, but I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Right, so the planning grant would sort of help define that, what it should look like and where it should be. In reality, the two sites there are now, the old jail, the old police station, and then the old school facility, district facilities, were just opportunities that were available, that were free or no cost type, or little cost, so we took advantage of that. So I think ideally, you'd be looking for something like that, although if you had $25 million, and you can sort of make your site whatever you want it to be.
Exactly, but what kind of physical requirements would you need? I mean, well, I've seen the iHub where it is now, but are you looking to duplicate that, or?
It would be similar. We could scale it from 5,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet, depending on sort of the requirements. And that's, I think, the idea, that one size doesn't fit all. Every company has a different requirement for what they need and what they're looking for. Some folks just need an office. Some folks need 40,000 square feet of roof to manufacture a wind turbine blade or some ancillary technology. So.
But your iHub and your accelerator campus could be apart. You're not talking about them both being on the same site necessarily. Well, they could be, but they wouldn't have to be, I guess is what I'm saying.
And I think that the longer vision of this is that it's not just a single site. It's a network of opportunity in the valley. And maybe there's one in Palm Desert, maybe there's one in La Quinta and out by the thermal airport, and maybe there's one out by Blythe or in Desert Center at some point. And that's sort of the big picture scope. Right now, we're just sort of focused on what makes sense right now. If we had to pick a site or a location, an opportunity with an existing facility, or if we had to build something, what would that look like? And again, the planning grant's going to help define some of that, but at the same time, if somebody, private or public investor, comes along and says, you know what, we've got this 50,000 square foot building, we'd like to donate or contribute.
Sure. Okay, and so the 200,000 is a matching grant. You have to do that. The 25 million is also matching. The implementation.
Yes, but there's a lot of flexibility with in-kind and some other. So if there was a land transfer, there's property taxes, all sorts of things we can take into account for that matching over an extended period of time.
Okay, and you evidently see the necessity to hire a GIS coordinator.
That was part of the planning grant strategy and proposal. So we said we would bring somebody on board. And the reality is that that's sort of the key to that. And when I say GIS, it's the economic data-driven model that it's going to help define what this looks like, but it's also going to provide specific data to the partner cities and CVEP as an organization. So it's something we've been talking about for a while. We partner with the tribe right now on some GIS capability, but this takes it to the next level.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Good.
Thank you. First a clarification, you mentioned it earlier, that the iHub you currently have, that is paid for by the City of Palm Springs, Cathedral City, and the City of Desert Hot Springs?
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's talk more about this GIS study, this based economic analysis, and this planning, the planning grant. So the partner cities, if the partner cities come together, bring in this $200,000, so this GIS economic study will be based on those partner cities. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And that will give this, information will that give the cities or that area?
Well, what we've got now planned now is I think we're working with the city manager's office on coming out on the 24th or 25th of this month. We really accelerated that, and I'm not sure if that's locked in yet, to bring Redlands out and the Esri folks to answer those very specific questions on what exact data you're going to get out of that. But it's, if you've used Buxton before, have heard of them, and they use the psychographic analysis and they track some other stuff. It's very similar to that in the data outputs. The way they get the data is a little bit different, but the data outputs it's pretty robust. It's a great planning tool for, for urban planners, for city managers, for staff and council as well.
So it'll give us a good idea from an economic standpoint what strengths we have or what weaknesses we may have in this area and what we need to do to improve, and as well as maybe what industries we can use those strengths for?
It'll do a labor market gap, for example, looking at where the gaps in your labor, but also gaps in your industries. It'll do a retail analysis. I mean, all these sorts of things can be output as a result of it. And I'm not an expert, I'm just sort of, I read the brochure. So.
Okay, all right. That's all the questions I have right now, Mr. Mayor.
Terry?
Yeah, I have a couple questions, if I might. I
Always.
want to go back to one that Lee, is that your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Lee asked just a few minutes ago on clarifying the current facility that you have that
Yes.
is with Palm Springs, Desert Hot Springs, and Cathedral City. Now, I understood that they did make an initial investment. Lee's question, it was, that's paid for by those three cities. So is it an ongoing, monthly, paid for by?
What it is,
That's not a microphone.
It's a small one, but that's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It's got-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good.
all right. What it is over and above their annual investment, they made a commitment to this program, which they've carried on for 3 years now, and in fact have invested about $500,000 in the iHub. The Accelerator Camp, as you may have heard, has received funding through Measure J from the City of Palm Springs over the next 3 years for $1 million. We're using that as a match for another EDA grant of $1 million because we obviously have to improve the facilities to accommodate the companies that we're putting in there.
Okay, so initially with CVEP, there is an initiation cost, if you will, or a membership cost. And as I recall, it was $50,000.
Right.
And did the three cities come in at the $50,000 level and then also contribute to?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Except for Palm Springs, they came in at $100,000 CVEP investment, and then an additional $125,000 on the incubator.
Okay.
Or on the iHub, I should say.
Okay, and Desert Hot Springs? and,
50,000.
Came in at 50, and then 50 for the incubator?
25 for the incubator.
Okay,
So it was if we're just talking incubator, it was 125 from Palm Springs, 25 from Desert Hot Springs, and 25 from Cathedral City, for a total of, I'm doing the math here,
Yeah.
175.
right. And then there was another year of that, or just the two?
There was, this is the third year.
This would be the third year.
Third year.
How many jobs have been created by the overall activities of CVIP?
3,227.
Okay, so, and that's throughout the valley.
It's close. Actually, we do an ROI report, a return on investment report to all the cities and our board members that define sort of, because we get this question, as you can imagine, from 9 city councils.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Right. And so we report jobs, both direct and indirect. We report economic growth in an area as defined by, we do an in-plan study. We define sort of the scholarships and counseling hours. We define loans, how many clients we've helped in individual cities. We break it down by individual city, and then we aggregate that for the Coachella Valley.
Right. So of the 3,000 jobs that were created,
Yes.
were any of them eliminated?
Well, what we do is we don't, it's hard to track sort of those over a 2 or 3 year period or even annually. If we know of a company that either fired people or closed down, we eliminate those jobs from the running total. If we don't know about it, we've got over 300 sort of clients, so it's hard to track each one of those on a monthly basis.
Right,
To say,
but
did you
but
hire
we
somebody
do
you
have
fired?
startups that come in, and
Right.
I'm gonna win this one, and they hire 30 people, and 6 months later, they're gone.
Right, and we account for that. If we know about it, we back those jobs off.
Right.
And so we're very sort of conservative in our numbers because,
Okay, well, then just a kind of an editorial comment, if you don't mind, because I spent about 1.5 years of my time making sure that Proposition 31 didn't get passed in the state of California, which was this, we all gotta work together kind of thing. And oh, by the way, if we work together, then we can apply for state funding. But by the way, when you get state funding, you're gonna achieve certain state goals. So my editorial comment here is, before I would accept any state funding, now that this has been codified, I would have some expert attorney read that document and find out what the heck you're buying into.
do you know a good attorney?
Yeah, you know what? For state and federal, because they're gonna get us. I'm telling you right now, they're not coming out with any grant funding for good little folks around the state of California that are trying to do good without dumping on us some of their responsibilities.
Well, your words are well taken. I understand firsthand. So, we, our preference is to get this to the point. Part of our financial sustainability commitment to the 3 cities at this point is to get the private sector in the driver's seat.
Yes.
And so we've been working that, we've got a lot of things in process, but they're waiting to see. They want to see the proofs in the pudding. And the whole point of this accelerator, or iHub accelerator program, is to graduate companies into market rate space out in the community that are creating jobs. And what we know, and it's been kind of reinforced with this experience, is entrepreneurs are, people who needed to be prodded, needed to focus on things maybe they aren't necessarily good at, but they need to do it to make sure that they move the company along. So we've developed, and I think Joe Wallace, who's the managing director, described it last time, we've got a kind of a 2-phase system in place where at a strategic level we're saying, hey, you need to be paying attention to your financial performance, because if you're going to access capital, you need to be doing these things, even though you may not like doing them. But we'll bring in the tactical help to help you do that so that you can move to that next level. But in the end, it's graduating companies that are going to be in the Coachella Valley providing jobs.
Well, and the faster that we can get them off of grant money and any kind of federal or state money, the better off we are. The longer we're there, the more you get tied in. You heard what we're looking at in our employee program going forward. You can't do that kind of thing. I mean, the city of La Quinta, I think, is embarking on one of the most dynamic kind of programs that you just heard in the state of California. But if we keep getting state and federal grants over here that are putting people to work, they're all going to fall under that government kind of employee mentality. Anyway,
So
You know how I feel about it.
Just to comment, on the accelerator campus, those folks are charged a rent. So once they graduate from the incubator and go across the street to this accelerator, they pay it's sort of a below fair market value rent, but what it does, it covers the cost of utilities, of the internet, trash, and the facility itself. So at the end of the day, the sustainability model for that campus would look like sort of even, including paying for a facility manager and like a Joe Wallace who would sort of oversee them and move them forward. So we're not quite there yet, but that's what we're working towards. So every company that goes in there has a lease agreement, and it's our goal is to remove the barriers to success. So when they get a lease agreement from us, it's an easy lease. They don't have to put down a security deposit. They don't have to sign a 5-year lease. There's no personal guarantee. If they can't, if they need to move out because they're failing, they move out, and there's no repercussions. So, and you can't do that in the private sector market right now. So, but our goal is to get them out of our accelerator and into the market rate economy.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda?
So a couple questions going back to where Christy started. First of all, let's define the East Valley. Since you've got 3 cities on the west, what are you defining as your East Valley Accelerator
Everything
campus?
from Morongo to the Salton Sea.
Okay. And then
we'll include Blythe too, because our SBDC network covers all the way out to the Arizona border with SBDC.
Okay. And then when you're seeking funds, matching funds from your stakeholders, are we just seeking city funds? Are you going to private investors as well, and/or partners that are with CVEP now to do this?
Yes.
And so when you're asking potentially the city of La Quinta for money, how much are you asking for to help get that 200,000 match?
Well, it actually depends how many partners, local partners. Now, as you know, we had 4 cities and the county at the table. The tribe basically supported this too, so we're going to be meeting with them. But whoever decides they want to be a partner will basically divide it up.
Okay. Now, when you talk about the locations, because this is something obviously of interest to us and every city that you're confronting, is we want it in our jurisdiction, et cetera. But I think it's relevant when you're talking about the different areas and the components, especially with what you've got now. You've got your health and medical, your manufacturing. I think depending on the sector, it's relevant to be in different locations. We may benefit in La Quinta from something, health and medical related or pharma related, whereas there might be more land mass in Indio or Coachella for a more manufacturing type site. So based on either participation and or critical need and or the fact that we obviously have a very skilled workforce to choose from here because of our outstanding scores in La Quinta High School graduates for the last 5 years, we are already advanced on that workforce development side. Is there an opportunity then to specialize the types of sectors and where they go based on perhaps either available buildings, lands, partnerships, things like that?
That's what this tool will help us achieve.
But we won't know that until after we pony up.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And let's see. You're looking at a commitment before November?
When I'm saying commitment, the way the grant works is we're already incurring costs because it's a reimbursement deal. If I get to the end of November and don't have the resources, the local match, then I got a tough decision to make.
Right, okay. And one more question for you guys. When you look at the cities, or the companies, I'm sorry, the startup companies that are in the other locations, did the supporting cities, do they have a say in the businesses that come in here? Do they get to help decide what they're seeking? Are you working with commercial developers, trends analysis to say these are the types of things is that what all part of the study will do, and then identify either through chambers or commercial brokers or what have you, these are the types of companies we would want within our boundaries for these potential startups?
Well, we're doing that now already. So the way the structure is on the current sort of iHub is that we have an advisory committee, and it's 9 people, the 3 city mayors, and then 6 private sector folks. And so when we receive an application from a client that wants to join the incubator network, we review that internally, staff, and we make a recommendation to the advisory board, and they vote on it. And then that client is either accepted or asked to apply again later for a position. And it's pretty straightforward. Right now, I think we have 3 or 4 pending applications. We're always getting them in. And that's with zero marketing. We've done no out-of-area marketing. That's once in a while Kay Kaufman writing an article in the newspaper, and we get a couple of phone calls the next day. Part of the strategy is that we want to recruit companies and ideas and visionaries from outside of even California, from around the world, to come here and start their business here and bring their thought leadership and thought capital here. And that's what we hope to do. So I would envision a similar structure here where you would be involved and engaged along with the chambers and other community members. It just makes sense. There's a lot of stuff going on already here. I gave you the example the other day of one of your local companies, Go Green golf carts right here, was actually one of the prototype golf carts for Solaris Systems, which just went public. And now they have an $18.3 million valuation, and they're traded publicly. And that was the prototype that got them there. So there's already links to La Quinta and to the region, and we just want to expand that.
Have you denied
Yes.
incubator companies?
Yes.
Okay.
We're
This is exciting.
probably, I don't know the exact numbers, but we might be 50-50. And we don't just, say go away. We say go away. Here's some thoughts that you might want to consider. Come back with an application when you get a little more together.
Right. Well, it's exciting.
Good.
Thank you.
Linda basically hit the questions that I had, and that, number one, your timing is not the best in the world when we're sitting here looking at writing a check for $41 million.
No, the timing's perfect, actually.
So your timing is not the best in the world. And that, I guess, I go back to the adage, one of the major concerns that we've had, and I know Stan was very adamant about this in years past, and that we're not part of the enterprise zone, it's not in our community, and that, and what benefits do we derive from it? And that's all speculations, because we really don't know factually that, people live in our city, that work in these places, or that the business owners are part of our community, and that really don't get into it, but it doesn't matter. I'm more concerned the condition of the Coachella Valley and our sister cities that live here, because I want them to be successful too. We're all, and we're 9 cities separated by a lot of desert. And that, and we all have to work together in that, and that's the only reason I'm really, trying to help move forward and bring in businesses and that, because it's good for the valley as a whole, and that, of course. But like I said, Tom, your timing is not the best in the world.
I certainly understand, and I'd just like to offer one final thought. In fiscal year 13-14, CVEP has an annual budget of $5.5 million. Collectively, the cities and the county contribute through their annual investment $400,000. So that's 7.2% of that 5.5 million. That means 92+% is coming from other investors, a lot of them outside the region. So what you're really doing is you're taking, all the cities are taking $1 of public investment and leveraging it with 9 other dollars coming from elsewhere. I got to tell you, in my career, I've never seen that kind of ratio. Yeah. So, my objective is, to increase it if possible, but at the very least maintain it.
Maintain it, yes, yeah, that's important.
And that supports both the workforce and the economic development program. Yeah. So the leadership of the community has developed a model which others can't emulate. And I think we're very fortunate. So I just had to offer that.
That's good. It's good information. Good.
If I could, a couple other
Sure.
comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple other issues. I mean, one, from a number standpoint, I want to say that, obviously the issue here is jobs and how that affects the city of La Quinta. With the depression or recession that we've gone through and coming out the other end at this point, the city, I've taken a look at some of the numbers. The city of La Quinta, our sales tax revenue, which is almost a quarter of our budget, went down $1 million. Now, our unemployment rate only went down from maybe about 8.5, from 6.5 unemployment up to about 8.5, and it's on its way back down again. So the amount of unemployment that we suffered here in La Quinta, as compared to the reduction of revenue of over $1 million in our sales tax, is tremendous, which tells me that it is based on jobs throughout the entire Coachella Valley that have a direct effect on the income of La Quinta. Now, in regards to the partners for this event, you know, we've talked with the city of Palm Desert, here in La Quinta, Indio, Coachella, and Riverside County. So right now we're looking at potentially 5 members. That would be a contribution or investment of $40,000 apiece. The cities of Coachella and Indio and Riverside County have already committed that they're going to be a part of this. And those 3 have also committed up to $75,000 before the end of November, so we can get some of this going. But the city of La Quinta, if we want to be a partner in this, it could cost us up to $40,000. Now, that's going to be a tough choice, obviously, for us, because we all know where that's going to come from. It's not going to come from existing funds that we've got in other programs right now. It's going to come from reserves. So are we willing to make that investment for this study so we know from an economic development standpoint where we need to go in the future? And I think it's a prudent investment for our city, because we've got to protect those jobs in this region, because that makes a direct impact on the revenue of our city. And so obviously this is only a study session right now, but I think it's a prudent investment for our city going into the future. I think this is a great study we need for this East Valley, so we understand the economics of this valley, of this area, from an economic development standpoint. So I'm hoping we can put this on the business item at our next meeting in November, so we can talk about the investment of up to $40,000 given the other cities. And City of Palm Desert, talked to a couple of council members there. They're very, very positive about this, and they want to make this work just as much as the others do. So it may just come up to the city of La Quinta.
I support adding it as a business item for our next meeting.
Yes. Thank you very much. Great
Thanks,
job.
Tom. Wes? Okay, that ends our study session. We'll move on to reports and informational items. Linda, you want to start us off?
Sure. The Greater Palm Springs Convention Visitors Bureau, we're meeting again. We're meeting every other month, so our next meeting is in November, and it'll be at Sunnyland, so I'm very excited about that, because I'll get a tour of that. I haven't been there.
Beautiful
And I know
place.
that the Big Chamber Mixer is there tonight, which is why Dave's not in the audience, like he usually is it's the multi-trip visit to Sunnylands. CVAC Conservation Commission, we did approve the renewal for the multi-species habitat monitoring contract, and had some discussion over the latest bump and grind trail legislation. And fortunately, really, with Tom Kirk's leadership and working with Brian Estandi and other legislators, we were able to, I guess, the result is only a $100,000 component, the way the state was going to vote in favor of where that potential monitoring process was going to go. So it appears that if you're hearing on the news the $100,000 to cost to monitor the sheep on the bump and grind trail, which will be closed for 3 months out of the year, it'll probably come from grants that are already in process of being secured. So they're working on that. The PACE program is working and is underway in terms of next steps and getting information out, and Y Green's looking at office space, and they're rolling on that multiple jurisdiction approval so that they can start getting that out to the people. And then in terms of energy environmental, I would say the most relevant component of that meeting was, number one, we had some discussion over the chromium-6 issue, because it was just right before the big CVWD community session, which was apparently very well attended. And then secondly is pulling together a proposal, and we agreed as an Energy and Environmental Resource Commission to move forward to the CVAG Executive Committee a potential regional ordinance against the one-time use plastic bags. So a lot of discussion over that, but you know, again, it kind of screamed a little Agenda 21-ish to me in terms of forcing people to do certain things. But as I talked to our representatives at Burtec and what it does to the landfills and actually the money that it saves, and there's some relevance to it. So we supported it to move forward to the CVAG Executive Committee for further discussion to kind of make it uniform across cities. So
Sure.
from business to business, you won't have to figure out what city you're in and what 5-cent, yeah, big 5-cent
Yes,
bag
yes,
thing. So
yes, it-
other than that, we're still buying land in the Conservation Commission and working on the plug-in electric vehicle component. Tonight is also a CV Link work session at the Rancho Mirage
Yes,
Library
I saw that.
to roll out plans that I think we've all seen in terms of the trailways, pathways, et cetera. But I'll report next on CVB after the Sunnylands visit in November.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Christie?
Yes, sir. Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy, at our last meeting, we approved 4 local assistance grants to the Friends of the Desert Mountains. Actually, the roll call lasted longer than the meeting. That was the only item that was on there, and we did it in one motion, so.
Very good.
Yeah. But they're continuing to do their work too, moving forward with everything, which is great. The Jacqueline Cochran Airport, Regional Airport Authority had a meeting, and we actually voted on bringing in the Torres Martinez Indian tribe as a member. It's been an ongoing sort of thing, but we did the official action, so they're now a member too. There will not be an air show this year here. It will be in Hemet though, and then next year we'll have it back here again. There are a few capital improvement projects that are moving forward there. Most of them have to do with the ramps, improving the ramps and so forth. So, and then there was the Ross Tradition Aviation acquisition was approved by the Board of Supervisors, and they're getting ready to, they're gearing up right now to build a terminal building along with additional hangars, which will be nice for the airport there because they have this little small area. They work very well out of that, but it would be nice to have a terminal building there. So that was pretty much that. We're only meeting once a quarter now, which is fine. We're able to do what we need to do to get that done in that time period. And the Animal Campus, they're having their, well, actually, it's the Loving All Animals is having their adoption program, which I mentioned last time, and it's, I think, the weekend before Thanksgiving, and it will be at the Whitewater Park and Rancho Mirage. The Animal Campus and the Animal Samaritans and several of those groups have been doing lots of free vaccinations and lots of the spay and neuter. It seems like every time that we have a meeting, some group comes through with what they did and how many. The Animal Samaritans report last time stated that they, over the term of, well, actually, since they've had their new structure, they've had 4,000 adoptions, which is huge. That's really great. So let's see. I think that was just about it for them, and they're clicking along. They found some county funds to start refurbishing efforts for the kennels.
Up at the facility.
Yeah, the facility in there, which is,
Up there, what happened.
I know, but they can't do anything about it. So I just said, make sure these people are licensed and hopefully been in business for a while and won't have the problems that they had before. So that's it.
Okay. Christie, any comments in regards to now that the raceway, the thermal raceway is being used, any air traffic coming in? Have they seen anything with people who have bought into the raceway using the airport?
Not that specifically. That airport is pretty amazing. The HITS, which is the horse show, that's their biggest revenue maker. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks in February and 2 or 3 weeks in March. And a lot of the folks that fly in fly their horses in there too, so along with the people, the riders. They were very disappointed that AOPA canceled canceled out on them. So but they didn't have the air traffic that they anticipated having for AOPA last time. But no, there's no correlation, but I can, I'll find out. That's a good question.
I just wondered, because now that they are running some cars out there, whether people are flying in because of where it is and that. I just wondered if you had seen anything of people that are involved with the raceway.
No, there has been no correlation that I know of, but I'll find out. That's a good question.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting thing would be, I know right now with Golden Voice, a lot of the performers are flying in via Bermuda Dunes, and I would imagine as that continues to grow, that thermal would become
They have tons
easier
of
both.
Almost all of them come in there now, from
Okay.
Coachella to
To
thermal.
thermal
to the
now?
Jacqueline Cochran,
Okay.
yeah.
Because they were
Yeah,
using
I've been
Bermuda
thinking-
for,
Bermuda Dunes is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
for those nice jets.
They do, it's interesting to
Herman
talk to
flew in
the,
there for a long time in a plane that he should not have been flying in there in.
it's interesting to
knew
talk to the fixed base operators there because they
Yeah, that
have
runway
lots
is.
of stories to
that
tell.
runway
about
isn't
who's-
as long as
You
the
think?
Jacqueline Cochran, that's
No,
for sure.
no, no. Mm-mm. Actually, one of the stories that Penny, one of the fixed-base operators, was telling me was that when Prince performed, he flew in there. And there was so the limo came to pick him up, but then they put what I want to call it, so no one could see him, a cover over the ramp, that he came down the stairs or whatever, and over the limousine, so he in the limo and away he went. Same on the way back, but yeah, they have quite a few. Tom Cruise, I mean, anybody you can practically think of, that they want to stay away from the paparazzi, then they fly in there. And somehow they haven't figured that out yet.
Good, anyways. Terry?
Yes, mine will be pretty short. I would like to report that the League of California Cities Riverside Division did have their fundraiser yesterday in the Banning area, the Banning Country Club. And
Morongo Golf Club of Tuckwit Canyon.
Yeah.
It was donated completely by the Morongo Tribe.
Oh, that's cool.
Completely
Nice.
donated lunch, the course, and dinner.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, that was pretty
So
nice.
that was absolutely fabulous. And
Sure.
as you all know, and everybody out there knows, that the city cannot participate with that activity with any funds. So we, the council up here, we did put a basket together, and you will be getting your invoice.
Thought maybe you'd forgotten.
No, I haven't forgotten. And I wanted to thank Linda, took a foursome up and played golf.
Oh,
And-
good,
And
cool.
it appears at first blush on the funds, it looks like we're between $65,000 and $70,000,
Ooh, nice.
Right on.
which is fabulous.
Yeah, when you don't have that overhead of paying for the meals and the course.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's great.
That's
Lunch
expensive.
and dinner and the gospel. So that was absolutely amazing. And then I had Seabag Public Transportation along with Riverside County Transportation, both this week. And at both activities, we discussed again, we all have this aspiration for the rail service out here, which in a lot of ways is some kind of a pipe dream that's way out there.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
keeps going like
yeah.
this. But if we don't keep going like this, we'll never get anywhere. And so another step has been taken, another movement along the way. And both the Transportation Committee for CBAG and the Plans and Programs Committee for Riverside, for RCTC, is requesting that each city prepare a resolution supporting this activity. And we can either do one or do two, one for each agency, but it's the same resolution, and it'll all go into the same pile that we'll use as we go along to encourage other legislatures along the way, legislation kinds of folks with funding to kind of rise that up to a higher level of importance. and I think it'll happen. Really, there is a chance that this is closer than ever before. It's going to be slow. I don't mean the train's going to move really slow, but hopefully it won't be at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Palm
so
Springs.
those are some of the exciting things and good things that I see happening.
Good. Lee?
Yes, sir. Last week, I went on a tour with Imperial Irrigation District, and we started out here at the La Quinta office. We got on the bus around 7:30 in the morning, and then looked at the transmission lines that they've got here in this area going down to Imperial Valley, got down to El Centro, took a look at their trading desk, where they're trading power with other, providers, and both on that day basis as well as tomorrow's basis, and looking at both ways, buying and selling power. And at some point, they get paid to take power from other companies, because, they may not, on the transmission lines, may not need everything that's being generated, so they'll pay us to take some. But it was a very, very good tour. Looked at that trading, went also to their main headquarters where they control. They have one desk, and they're looking at both from a generation standpoint as well as a transmission standpoint. So if they have problems from the transmission standpoint, they can downgrade the generation as well to reduce the amount of power being generated. And, we all had the big blackout a couple years ago. And in today's, what they've done with the improvements they put together, Pat's gone, but now, if they see this amount of transmission coming through the lines from these other districts, they can then, they have 15 minutes to reduce the generation of power to be able to take that through their system. And one of the big issues they've got going right now is we all know about San Onofre. So with San Onofre out, both all those users of San Onofre now are bringing power in from Arizona and east, and it's going through the Imperial County. So they've got that much more power in their transmission lines going through. So it's a big to-do from a transmission standpoint. That's their next big investment strategy, is in their transmission lines. And again, with all the power coming in from the east that's going to be going to the coast, they've got to be ready on their own transmission systems to take it, and to be able to charge for it going through their system. Because if they don't, then the feds will tell them, don't worry about it, then other people will do it for you. And so they're having to take that on. We looked at the solar power systems that they've got going, and the wind power systems that they've got going. And then they talked about the geothermal power, which is interesting because the solar as well as the wind, Mother Nature can change the amount of power generated by both those systems. So they've got to have a different type of renewable source that can fill in the gaps. And that's what the geothermal is about. So so if we all of a sudden have a cloudy day and the solar systems go down, or we have no wind at all and the wind turbines go down, they've got the geothermal to fill in the blanks. And they've got some new technology going on at the Salton Sea on the geothermal, and that was very impressive. We went to one of the new one of the new geothermal plants up on the Salton Sea, up there, and went through Nyland. It was an all-day tour. We got back to thermal around 5:30 that evening, and it was really impressive to see what IID has done to upgrade their system, upgrade, the generation of the power as well as the transmission of the power. Because I know I did a tour in there back in the 80s, and at that point their computer systems still had the tubes. Back in the late 80s. I was in there back in 89, and they've come a long, long way, and it was very impressive what they're doing. And both, again, from the generation, they've met all the requirements for the renewable power sources. They've met all those, and they're supposed to be at 20% right now, and they're at 20.8 or whatever like that. So they're doing real well with all of that. And it was good to see how well IID's come up to where they are today, and the sustainability of the power system that they've got and the improvements they've made to do that, with all different kinds. They're looking at the hydroelectricity. The small hydroelectricity is now considered renewable energy versus the large hydro, like the Hoover Dam, is not considered renewable for whatever reason. I think that's more of a lobbying groups from solar and whatnot, but anyway. But it was very, very good to see that. One other note on IID, the aspect of the public benefits fund balance. The public benefits meaning that they will reimburse users for increases in their insulation and their efficiency. They've got $8.8 million in that fund for customers to help with, upgrading their systems. And so that's a huge thing, and they're continuing to fund that. But, one of the issues that we were talking about earlier, economic development, we've got to get IID involved as well on these economic development programs. And so we had some discussions on that as well.
Around here, water and
Right.
electricity are big drawbacks with incoming businesses. They go down there and they say,
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that meter. What
Right.
Jeez.
Or you have, like one of my clients, he has an operation down on Avenue 82, and IID does not have the delivery lines to give him the power he needs.
Wow.
So they said, all right, fine, you give us $10 million and we'll bring it in to you. He can't do that.
yeah.
He can't do that. So he's got huge generators. So, there's, the IEDs needs to get involved in this. There's some concern that Imperial Valley still controls it. So
Yeah.
Imperial Valley is going to say, sure, economic development in Imperial Valley.
Sure.
So we've got some challenges there that we'll continue to be working on. But it was a good tour. It was a good tour. That's all I have.
Well, I remember when the Madison Club talked to IID about moving those transmission lines down and what it cost. Holy cow. They said, forget it.
Yeah, about $1 million a pole.
Okay. My meetings are all coming up, so I have nothing to report other than I did get an email that the next Sunline board meeting that Roger Snowball will be his last day. And he's the interim general manager and had done a wonderful job. He's a resident of Rancho Mirage and that, but done a wonderful job filling in
lines
and
kind
that.
of popped up, didn't they? When he
Yeah.
took over, all of a sudden there's these new bus lines going up.
A lot of good things happening. Yeah, Roger's good, but Lori, the new general manager, will be taking over, and she's in town now, so that's good. So, anyways, we'll move on to department reports. City manager.
I have two items to mention. First, thanks to the hard work of Tim and his crew, and the perseverance, and perhaps most of all, the luck of La Quinta. At the Monday Technical Advisory Committee, the Technical Advisory Committee approved a new allocation manner for the Jefferson Street interchange. And that, combined with the securing of state transportation improvement funds, has moved our potential exposure from $3.5 million, 3.5 to 3.7 million of the city's contribution to a projected $450,000. So,
Yeah.
however, we have to see how well the chair of the executive committee does moving this process through the shoals of the
I will do my best. No pressure, but.
The other thing is, try as we might, we have not found enough items to populate the November 5th agenda, and so we will be canceling that meeting, and your next regular meeting, other than the workshop this Saturday, will be on November 19th. That's it.
Okay. City attorney.
I have no report.
City clerk. No report. Okay.
How about the calendar for those volunteers?
You,
When?
The Tuesday, the 12th?
Tuesday? Well, they got the 12th, 13th?
Report, and I don't know where it is.
Yes.
It was 3 days all the same week.
Yeah, 12th, 13th, and 14th,
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Well, like Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 12th is fine?
Yep.
You good, Mr. Mayor?
Tuesday's
Yeah.
okay with me.
Okay, we're good.
Looks like that's the day, then. Excellent. Okay. November 12th.
Do we know where that's going to be?
No, we'll start working on it. I'll
Okay.
let you know as soon as we. That was,
You good last year?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Department heads, any reports?
I wanted to ask Edie how the meeting went last night with Tom Kirk and the CV Link with our Community Service Board.
Thought you could get by without saying anything, huh?
That's right. It was terrific. They had a great time. He did a wonderful job and introduced some of the same information that he's presenting tonight in Rancho Mirage. So the 5 commissioners were just very excited about hearing what the plans were, and hopefully that La Quinta is going to be one of the first. So they were excited about that. It was good.
Did he talk about funding and how they're doing on the funding side of things?
He did. They're continuing to increase the funding, and I think they're, as I recall, in and around 62 million is what he talked about for that funding.
Just a little over that now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how much does he need, 80 or?
yeah.
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 80 was the original overall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're continuing to do a great job in the short period of time they've started that project, so.
Would we be able to use Quimby funds for that?
Not outside of our city.
in
No,
this-
right, but only in, yeah, for that portion that's within our city?
Are you talking about
On the
operational?
No, CV Link, just
No,
from a
it'd have to
capital
be-
standpoint.
It'd have to be capital funds.
Yeah, from a capital standpoint, we could? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Edie. Okay.
Nothing else, then we'll move on to mayor and council members' items. Anybody have any?
do?
Yes, Christie?
Yes, I'm going to have to recuse myself from the public hearing because my house is right next to the Griffin Ranch. So,
You just want to go home early.
yeah.
Well, she
But-
can see the houses on Griffin Ranch from her backyard.
And then with respect to the Griffin Ranch, especially since I won't be here less, I noticed when the Planning Commission had their hearing, this, one of the speakers, Mr. Jackluski, talked about a golf course and putting green and dog park and event lawns, but what, in golf course? Is that just a, whatever?
It was a mistake. It was supposed to say golf putting green and somehow golf
okay.
course
All right.
got added.
That's fine.
There is no new golf course going in for
Oh,
Griffin.
just
Just
checking.
just a putting green associated with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's it.
That's it? Anybody else?
Yeah, well, it's not, back on the staff reports, if I could, I wanted to compliment Tim on this very colorful pie that he gave us this month. It really showed how far you spent a green $1, and it went in a lot of places. So, thank you on that, and this new traffic management center sounds pretty exciting too, so thank you on those.
Good.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, because we buzzed by reports real quick.
Yeah, we
I
did.
just wanted to do a quick question for Edie on the Plan La Quinta website. Are we still on, it seems to be late October for the new website?
It's nearly done.
Nearly done, so we're on track. I like some of the new different ads that were thrown in lately in terms of travel tips and things like that and golf, so a little shake things up is very nice. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, I look forward to hearing more about the launch. Thanks.
One thing if I could.
Sure.
Also, Tim, I just want to say, you're doing great on that North La Quinta, meeting with all the different communities and everything. I mean, we haven't had a big group in here with their fists in the air yet, and so I just want to commend you on that. They've done it before.
We're here on Saturday.
Oh, is that what it was?
What did you say?
Yeah, with all the North La Quinta communities, I think it seems to be going really well.
It is. On Saturday, what we did was, I don't know if you recall, we created like 3 zones for the 13 subdivisions. And so the largest was Zone 2, which had 5 subdivisions, Rancho Ocotillo, Acacia, a couple others in that area. And so we had about 35 people come on Saturday, and we had a workshop from 9 to noon. And by the end, at the beginning, there were lots of dicey questions. By the end, they were clapping. So I think they got some good information, if nothing else.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you very much.
And Tim, thank you. Kirkpatrick's out there cleaning up the weeds.
You saw that. They did a lot more
Finally.
work on Jefferson.
You bet.
Right.
Good. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll recess the city council to the, excuse me, I was going to say redevelopment agency, to the successor agency to the dissolved La Quinta redevelopment agency, and council will reconvene at 7 p.m. The successor agency, we'll move on. We've done the first part of it. We'll move on to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on the item of the successor agency? Seeing none, confirmation of agenda. Any changes by staff? By agency members?
Well, for consistency's sake, I'd like to go ahead and pull consent item number 4 and move it to business session item number 1.
Okay.
And we'll do a ditto, but I'd like to move it to business session, please. The $41 million on their successor.
All right. I'll ask for approval of minutes for October 1.
So moved.
Moved to second, please vote. Motion passes. Move on to the consent calendar.
Move as amended.
And second?
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay, moved and second. Please vote. Motion passes. We'll move on to the
Business one.
business item.
As far as this item is concerned, I would be very pleased to see my remarks taken from the minutes of the council meeting and put into the minutes of this same comment.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
think
We
Ditto.
agree on all of this. Okay.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I reluctantly yet again authorize the executive director to make a motion to authorize the executive director to transfer up to $41,431,179 to the County of Riverside Auditor Controller that will eventually go to the state. That's our money to begin with. County to the state.
Okay, did I hear a second? Okay, moved and second. Please vote. Motion passes. Okay. Department reports, anything from,
I just wanted to mention that at the last Oversight Board meeting, the group unanimously approved for the second time restructuring our bond issue, and so now we're in the throes of Department of Finance and their review, and our bond team's working with the DOF staff to explain what we're doing, and our hopes are that we will get this out of there in less than 60 days so we can get to market. The bond market's moving at the moment in the favor of lowering interest rates and discount rates, so our cost savings may go up if the La Quinta luck holds.
Yeah, it looks like the Fed rates come down on that Treasury, 10-year Treasury's down to about 2.6, and it was 3. So hopefully it's going to stay there while we get this done and get it on the market. And yeah, it should do pretty well for us.
Yes.
okay, unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, please vote. Motion passes. Let's move on. We've got a few minutes and go to the Financing Authority. So at this time, I'll call order the regular meeting of the Financing Authority for Tuesday, October 15, 2013. Let it be known that all authority members are present. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll move on to confirmation agenda. Any changes by staff? No. By agency members?
No.
Okay, I'll ask for approval of minutes of September 17th.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second, please vote. Motion passes. Consent calendar.
Move consent calendar.
Moved in second, please vote. That concludes that. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second, please vote.
Member Henderson?
Oh.
Okay. Financing Authority is adjourned.
All right, then I think we've got a few minutes left here to call to order the Housing Authority for the regular meeting of Tuesday, October 15th. If I can call that to order, let the record show that all authority members are present, and ask for verbal announcement AB 23.
Board members of the La Quinta Housing Authority are entitled to a $50 stipend as set by Section 34274 of the Health and Safety Code, not to exceed 4 meetings per month, to be paid to members in attendance at every convened Housing Authority meeting.
Thank you. The next, ask for any public comment on any item. There being no public comment, I ask for confirmation of agenda. Staff have any changes? Any authority member changes? Thank you. Then I'll ask for approval of the minutes of September 17th.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and second. Please vote.
Oops, all the lights are still on. Just leave it that way.
Vote again. Please vote. Thank you. That item passes. Now I'll ask for minutes of the special meeting of October 1st, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
That item's been first and second. Please vote. Thank you. That item passes. Next, we have the consent calendar.
Move the consent calendar.
Second.
First and second, please vote. Thank you. That item passes. We have no other items. I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, please vote. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.